Hey guys, I'm learning TFT and I'm sharing my learnings with you so you can learn and I can learn better as well. In today's video, I'm going to go through a recent website. It's not completely new, but they added a pro tips section where they have top players input their tips for this set and specific ideas that can help you get better at the game in the right circumstances. So I have filtered this by most liked, and then I'm going to go through some of the top tips. I'm not going to go through all of them, but for example, the first one has like 320 upvotes. So I'm going to go through the tips that have a lot of upvotes. I've gone through most of these, I think, but I wanted to revisit them, and some of them might be new that I'm kind of exploring for the first time. So this is a way for me to kind of reinforce the learnings for myself. And if you're new to these ideas, then hopefully this will be helpful for your game when certain situations come up. This is at datatft.com/tip. I'll include a link in the description below if you want to check it out yourself. So first tip is with Trait Tracker or Flexible, if you get a bad emblem, or if you have a Radiant emblem item that you don't like, you can try using Cypher to get to use a gold remover. And if you get the gold remover, then it will convert all of your existing removers into reforgers. So specifically at 150, also if you get to 225 here, you have a 33% chance. But 150, you have 50% chance between these two. So this was the most liked tip so far. Second one, only one player can get a hero augment at a time. So if you have one of the hero augments listed, then you can wait until another player, let's say like you have, Poppy's probably the strongest right now. Let's say you have this show up for you, but someone else in the lobby has like 5 Poppies. One way is to wait on rolling it until after that player has selected if you really want to min-max it. But during glitched out, during a hack, 2 people could actually receive the same one if there's 2 silver augments. This is just Sejuani and Zed positioning. I think most people know this by now. If you... I can't move this, so let me use a team builder. Let's say you're playing Vanguard Marksman. This positioning here ensures that your Aphelios is not stunned by the Sejuani. Sejuani will stun the current target, and then within 3 hexes, let's see, stun them for, so it will actually stun this Zaya, but it won't stun this. So even if the Sejuani walks here and it stuns from the center location. So this Zaya could be stunned, but this Aphelios is always safe. And then if it is a Zed instead, then this Zed will attack here. And so it's suggesting that the way to anti-Sej is second hex from the right. And then this is like kind of the bait unit. Because I think Zed also hits AoE. Yeah, it hits adjacent enemies. So if, let's say Zaya is your main carry, and this is a Jhin instead here. If you use Jhin to bait, Zaya will still get hit by Zed's ability because it hits adjacent. So you actually don't want this Jhin here. If you put the Jhin here, Zed always goes for 4 hexes away, the furthest unmarked enemy within 4 hexes. So it's going to go towards the Jhin, and that way Zaya is safe. So, and then there's also an anti-Sej positioning. I forget off the top of my head how that works. See if I can try to figure that out. So instead of, let's say you have, this is like Vexotech or something, and you have a bunch of units here. I think what you can do is something like this, and then what's going to happen is they're going to walk up like that. And then Sedge can just go straight to the back line and stun this whole area. I think that's the way that the anti-Sedge positioning works. But that's really for like super late game. If you are kind of, you know for sure you're getting matched up against that opponent, then that's something that you can do. And so if you are faced against someone that's trying to do that, there's anti-Sedge positioning, which is like let's say you're playing Vanguard Marksman, so you have like a J4 and a Rhaast. Where's Rhaast? And a Silas. So if they do this, all you do is just go something like that. And then now the Sedge has to walk around this way. And so then you're safe. But then, of course, if this person does this, then you could go back to, then all they need to do is swap these two, and then they're stunning this, and then Aphelios is getting stunned, right? But if they do this, then you could just move this back, and then this is going to have to like go like this. So it's basically becomes rock, paper, scissors after a certain amount of time. All right. Oh, this one is a big one. I actually learned this from Marcel not that long ago. It's with reinforcement. So I always thought that reinforcement, if you have a bench, let's say, I'm gonna assume the bottom row is my bench. Let's say I'm playing Brand, and I have, let's say this is my bench. Let's just say this is my bench, right? And maybe I don't even have any brands. Let's just say I have, I don't know. Let's just say this is my bench. And I really want a brand because I'm so close to, actually, let's just say this is my bench. I'm really close to a Nico 2. I don't have any brands. Let's say brand is also contested. Or an even better example would be it's brands here instead, and I really want Nico, and Nico is contested by, let's say, a Strat Amp player. Let's say there's a Rengar 3 player who also is trying to get Nikos, and you really want that Nico 2 on your reinforcement roll down. But you see a brand in the shop, and you're like, oh, it's so wasteful that I can't buy this brand too. There's actually a hack, which is if you fill your bench with random units and then you buy the brand, it will actually make a brand 2 and not waste, it will not waste your reinforcement value. That's only if you have the brands on your bench. I think if you have a brand on your board, then, and so let's say you have a 1-star brand and this is your bench. Let's say this up here is your board. Even if you do this, I'm actually not sure what will happen with this. But if it's an empty spot here, then it will add a brand 2 here. So this only applies if you have the 2 brands on your bench and your board is full. Then you can buy the brand, it'll make a brand 2-star, and then the next Nico in your shop, then you could buy it and it'll be a Nico 2-star like that. So if you already have a pair of, I guess this tip is saying that if you have both the board and bench have a copy of the 4-cost unit, it's fine. So I'm not actually sure about that. It'd be helpful if you've tested this to let other people know if it's, let's say, like this, and you buy brand, will it build it on the bench? But either way, this is extremely valuable if you already have a pair of 4-costs on your, just in general, because then you could basically instantly hit 2-star 4-costs usually on your roll down, which is quite strong. All right, so this is about how to counter Sejuani if you have Rengar, Zac, or Viego. And this is specifically if the enemy Sejuani can't instantly cast. That is, they don't have 2 Protector's Vow or 2 mana items. Then what you can do is you put your Rengar, Viego, or Zac in front of the enemy Sejuani, and basically if your unit can cast first, so Zac has 70 mana to cast 40, 60 versus Sejuani needs, what is that, 90? So it also depends on who has more mana, basically, between your guy, who casts first, between their Sejuani or your Rengar, Viego, or Zac. But if your unit casts first, then usually Rengar will, may move it over here. So if there's a Sejuani versus a Rengar, Viego, or Zac. So if your guy casts first, Zac is going to start bouncing around, right? And then if Sejuani casts onto the target when Zac is bouncing, then Sejuani will actually cast its stun in their side of the board, which means that your backline will be completely safe, and some of your frontline or side units will be completely safe as well. Same thing with Rengar. Rengar will jump over, right? And then Viego also jumps the largest clump. And then in Viego's case, Viego might, I think, jump even farther. I forget what the range is. Within 2 hexes. So, okay, so he could jump over here, and then Sejuani's still targeting him, and then stuns back here, right? So if you're playing against a Sejuani and you happen to have these 3 units, definitely consider placing them right in front of the enemy Sejuani. That can save your team an entire stun cast, and could easily make fight difference, since that basically renders Sejuani like useless, and that's a waste of a 2-star forecast on their team, especially if they have like a vow built on them. That's a huge swing in the fight. Units who are pulled by Aurora can benefit from all augments. If you're climbing with high Anima Squad synergy, prioritize adding a second Xayah. With strong Anima Squad comps, it's recommended to go level 9 and run 2 Auroras. Alright, so with like Climb the Ladder or other augments that benefit the units that can be thrown in. So if you have a bunch of combat augments, then running 2 Auroras can make a lot of sense. And I did a Dynamo Flex analysis in my video yesterday, and another way of capping out Dynamo Flex if you have a 2-star Aurora is to just add in another Aurora, so you're throwing in 2 units. And if you have very good combat augments, like even let's say Inspiring Epitaph, because the more units you have in the just you get more HP boosts when units die. Or if you happen to have like very good, I don't know, other combat augments, Aurora benefits a lot. All right, this one's saying that Fishbones on Vex is really strong. Basically similar to, what is it, Vhagar? They can burst down like kind of enemy units in the backline. Let me actually take a look at what the stats are on this. So Fishbones, and let's just say 4 costs. Vex, yeah, minus 0.26 delta, so quite good. And one thing to keep in mind for this is that it doubles their range. So let's say you have that Vex with the Fishbones in the back line. Double the range means 8 hex range, right? So if they have, let's say, an Aphelios in the back line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, and here would be 8. So basically these two, Vex has some, what is the percent chance? Attacks a random enemy, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Even hit back to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 8. So like this is kind of like the range. So all of these on the outside here, this Vex can hit. So if you are playing against Vex, you want your main carry, if you're itemizing this Aphelios, let's say you want this to be opposite corner. That way Vex won't accidentally snipe your carry. And if you are this Vex player, then you want to be same side the enemy carry. All right. Scoped weapons, Shaco. Or with early spatula. So this is basically ranged Shaco. Spatula can be made into a rapid fire Shaco. In that case, you do not want Syndicate on your Shaco. So Shaco, when you put Syndicate, he'll teleport, and he'll teleport behind the enemy unit. So if you have like scope weapons or sniper's focus or rapid fire, let's say he's attacking this enemy Mundo. If you have hat on him, he'll jump behind, which eliminates the purpose of the range. So when you have range Shaco, you do not want to put Syndicate on them. And then late game, it's saying you can use renekton to bite the Shaco to get all of the excess AD. And usually you don't want to bite if it's a normal Shaco because you're worried about Shaco being squishy. But in that case, you can probably build like a Gunblade or like a Hodge or BT or something. Or actually, I forgot, Slayer already has built-in healing, so you don't even need that. Yeah, super strong. And Shaco sustains with Slayer. And then renekton can later get the spatula. So if you're actually playing what is it? Rapid fire here. And Shaco like got a bunch of AD, then renekton can benefit from the AD, and then you can just move the rapid fire over here. I think is what it's implying. Or if it's just regular scope weapons, Shaco already got a bunch of damage, and then yeah, with scoped weapons, renekton can get a lot of that AD benefit. So it's like a big cap out. Pair of 4s restricts you to 2 of the same 4-cost unit, but you can actually have multiple copies of the same one without it messing up the pair of 4's value. So if you have like a Sejuani and a Zeri, then you can run 2 Sejuanis and they both get the HP buff. You don't lose that value. Sponging and binary airdrop. So sponging up to 6 champions with 1 or fewer items gain a copy of a random completed item. And then binary airdrop up to 4 champions holding 2 items gain a recommended 3rd completed item. So this is more relevant in the early to mid game when you, because it's binary airdrop is up to 4 champions, right? So this is more relevant if you have, let's say, 4 units where, say you have Warmog, something like this, and then 1 item here. So basically in this case, your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items gets converted into 1 item here, 1 item here, and then you, up to 6 of your champions can get value, right? So let's say you have this. Where's Jax? And then a backliner. I'm just making up units, but basically you get a ton of item value from this. You turn your so let's say you're on level 8. Your 6 items turn into, from sponging, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus then binary 7, 8, 9, 10. Holy. You're getting plus 10 items from this combo. And it actually works really well with Exotech because Exotech gives you HP per item. Yeah, this sounds like a ridiculous combo, especially with Exotech. So you play it with Exotech or Zeri. And in that case, I think it probably makes sense to go even vertical 7 Exotech. So then maybe you're just playing 7 Exo in that case. Because then you're getting 240 HP times 3, like 700 plus HP per unit that's getting. Yeah, that sounds insane. All right, Illaoi has damage, MR shred, and when she's activating 3 Anima Squad, her shred is about equivalent to an Ionic Spark. Okay, so basically this is just saying that Illaoi is quite strong. And this was mentioned in 14.3. In patch 14.5, 3 Anima was buffed. So yeah, basically, if you're going vertical Anima, playing around Illaoi makes a lot of sense. Street Demon Emblem is usually bait in 7 Street Demon comps. Yeah, it doesn't really let you play that much more. If we look at the stats, Street Demon brand, yeah, averages a 4.25. Strategist Emblem is much better. It's like half a placement better. So Street Demon Emblem just not that good. Unless you are playing on like, you already have an emblem, or you're win streaking and you're playing on the Aurelian Soul one where you can like maybe try to roll for another emblem. Long distance pals allow Zack's AP cell to be shared with allies. Wow, I do not recall this combo. That seems pretty crazy. So this actually works really well on strat amp boards. You're playing Zack anyway, and then you can combine it with Annie. Every time you buy Bob, his AP goes up, and then you can share that AP with Annie. Yeah, that sounds insane. Okay, I gotta remember this combo. LDP and Zack. Zed with Spectral Cutlass and Suspicious Trenchcoat. If bitten by renekton at start, teleporting then causes immediate clone split. So renekton and Zack, or not Zack, Zed. So his bite take 40%. And then Suspicious Trenchcoat. This seems like such a rare instance. Triggers at... So it basically immediately triggers this. And then if you have Spectral Cutlass with it... Okay, so you're putting it backline. And then let's say they have an Aphelios or something opposite corner. This will jump and bite at the same time. The Zed will split and then stay there. Although Zed like jumps away anyway. So I don't know if that's necessarily better on Zed, but I could definitely see it make sense with like Nefiri or something that's gonna stay here. So that's interesting. Blazing Soul is quite underwhelming. It's saying Street Demon already provides AP and AS has low synergy with Brand. So usually you would expect this to be good with AP lines, but the argument is that you get diminishing returns from Street Demon, and Brand doesn't need that much attack speed. All right. So yeah, I talked about this in my last video. Elise is super strong now. Mana buff one patch ago. Yeah, Elise is basically a 4 cost now. All right, this is hero augment. Okay, so this one is kind of similar to like Shaco, but specifically for the Rhaast hero augment, got what it's called. But basically his ability targets the lowest HP unit in range. So if the enemy is in this corner and Zed dashes to the corner and attacks, it will make this corner carry low HP, and then Rhaast will target it as well. So if you're playing Rhaast Hero Augment and you understand this interaction, it should make this line like much more viable. I think right now Rhaast with this line is like probably a 4.5 or so. Oh, 4.2. 4. Oh, I mean, I guess this is lower elo. Like if I filter diamond, this is probably gonna go up. Yeah. But I suspect most people don't know this optimization. So if you're able to optimize this, it should make this AVP a lot better. So this one, I actually don't know. It's claiming that Void Staff applies the damage before its MR reduction. And so it's arguing that Void Staff is better for users that have dot effects, damage over time, or has a low mana bar, casts very frequently. But if anyone can confirm or deny whether this is true or not, the damage is applied before the, like, so let's say you have a big cast like Brand, then the cast itself will not have the shred applied, which is strange because I always thought that, like, I think it was Varus from 2 sets ago. There was the question of whether you should build Even Shroud or Last Whisper. Does anybody know if Last Whisper, the same kind of logic applies? Like, if you have a big AD cast like Xayah with LW, although Xayah is already attacking that user, but something that's AoE that hits like kind of users that you are not already auto attacking, does it have the shred applied? Definitely let us know in the comments below if you know. Include the timestamp. Really appreciate that. All right, I'm gonna have to wrap up in a little bit, but we maybe get through a few more. So in AMP comps, I did a VOD review with Wajan Iverson about, I think, with his recent Cup 2 win, and with the strat AMP line, Greater Moonlight is extremely strong because you can get a Nidalee 4 and she can become a very viable main carry or secondary tank. Aurora summoned Zac only gets HP, no AP. So if you have a well-fed Zac, you should keep it on the board and use Aurora to pull in other units. If you have a Zac with not much HP versus a Kobuko, Kobuko will be much better. I talked about that in my last video because Kobuko is guaranteed to cast the CC value, which is probably going to be more worthwhile than a Zac that doesn't get the AP value on the blobs. Yumi, if you have 2 of them, and this is true for Elise as well, if you have 2 of them, they both will mark the enemy, and so they'll deal more damage. For Elise, they'll both shred the enemy, so you can have more than one of them. I haven't really seen Double Trouble very much, so I'm not sure how great that is. This is going into 3-2, so on 3-1, especially if you have excess gold, you're on a gold encounter, then it can make a lot of sense to fill up your bench at 3-1, because if you get Golemify or Dumbify, especially if you have Bruisers or Street Demon, you can get a huge Golemify or Dumbify, and that drastically improves the power of these 2 augments, which then later, and I created a video about this previously, you can use Renekton to bite one of these and get a giant Renekton. Oh, and if you have Exotech in, put items on your Exotech to get more HP as well. All right, so I think we're gonna conclude there, but there's a lot more tips here, and I would highly suggest that you check this out, datatft.com/tip. Normally, I think it's filtered by latest, and so they have some new stuff coming out like every day or two. But if you want to just look at the most liked to get like kind of the biggest impact stuff or must learn, then I think this is a really good way of doing that. So yeah, I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.